All right, it's Belgium kit time. Everybody likes Belgium kit time. Velleman kit number MK124. It's a rolling message display. Very cool. This has the one staple. Just have to remove the staple, and then you're set to go. All right. Let's get it onto a tray. All right, what do we got? Let's take a look. We got, oh, look at this. Look at this. So all of the parts are on a tape and reel, but there's diodes, and then there's one value of resistors, a second value of resistors, and a third value of resistors, all on one strip. So somehow they had that custom made. So that's I've never seen that before in a kit. That's really nice. And we got some switches and an IC, stuff like that, battery holder, and a lot of LEDs because it's a rolling display. And then we have a little contrast enhancing filter. We can talk about that when we get it built. And inside we get the little blurb and no schematics. No schematics. We might have to reverse engineer this one. That's really strange. No schematics. All right. I don't think there's much going on. I think it's just rows and columns and LEDs and microprocessor. But yeah, that is interesting. One little funny thing here, J4 solder. J4, Take a look at that when we're done. Okay, let's get it built. All right, here's the PC board. I didn't show that. And single-sided again, so don't cut the lead short. Are there any dates on these things? Let me look at the box for the date. This one looks newer. Yeah, right away, I don't see a date. We can take a look at the PIC processor. Maybe there's a date on that. Oh well, can't tell right away. All right. What do we put in first? We put in the LEDs. That'll be fun. Let's put in LEDs. Got lots of LEDs. And we got to make sure that we put them in the right way, because if we put them in the wrong way, we're going to have a bad day. All right. So I assume that the leg here, so you just don't know about these. Positive, negative. They have one band that's colored, and you would think that might be the cathode. So maybe we should read the instructions. I'm sure they have to say, watch polarity. Put the long lead in the unmarked hole. Yep, that's the way I didn't do it. So anode, cathode. Yeah, it is anode, cathode. So the little stripe is the cathode. So we will do it the way they want it done. Let's see if there's actually a flat on these. Some LEDs have a flat and some do not. See, and this LED does not have a flat, but in the instructions they kind of make you feel like, it's the flat that you're looking for, but it's really the long leg that you want to go into the right hole. So we will start loading these up. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but my first job out of school was with Hewlett-Packard's optoelectronics division, where they built LEDs. And so I kind of learned about LEDs early in my career. And this is not easy to do. I'm bending the leads over so that they won't fall out. And so there was a guy who worked on the manufacturing line. He said, hey, you should build an LED yourself, then you'll know how it's done. And so he let me build what are called a lead frame worth of LEDs. LEDs are built, the little legs in the LEDs are a stamped piece of metal. And they're all solid, they're all together, and then you make the LED, and then at the very last you put them into a press where you shear all the parts across, and it releases all of the LEDs into single legs, you know, 2 legs each. Before then, everything is shorted together. Anyway, I got to, let me move the camera here, it's in my way. So the process of building an LED is you start with the lead frame, and then you have to attach the die of each LED into the reflector cup. And you do that with silver epoxy. Epoxy with a silver, my soldering iron is off. You put a little blob of glue down there, and the glue has silver particles in it that makes it conductive, and you glue the LED chips into the reflector cups, and that is the cathode here. You're gluing the cathode to one of the legs, and then you let that set. And now the camera's in my way again. And then once that's done, you have to attach the anode. And the anode's done with a wire bonder, a little gold piece of wire that you have to attach to the center of the LED and to the other leg in the lead frame. And now we need to make sure these are all looking nice and straight before we solder them down. This looks pretty good. Maybe that one. So I had them for a long time. I don't think I have them anymore, but I kept those LEDs that I built myself. I thought that was pretty cool. I think I'll heat these up and seat them to the board. That one didn't seat right. This is going to take a while. I think what I'll do is I'll put all these LEDs down, and then you'll join me when it's all finished. How about that? So we'll finish these up in my story. So once you have the anode attached, then you need to put the red lens on the LED, you know, and that's done with an epoxy. It's a epoxy with red dye in it. If you're making red LEDs, well, this is going to be hard. Maybe I should cut these off first so I can get to those other legs. Yeah. And if you've ever tried to cast clear epoxy, it gets air bubbles in it, so you would mix up the epoxy, and then we had a vacuum pump. You put it in a bell jar and you'd pump it down and pump all of the air bubbles out of it. And then once you got all the air bubbles out, then you could cast them. And they were little molds, little bitty molds made out of Teflon. And so you would fill the molds up to the right amount. And that would make all these little LEDs. And then they would pop right out of the mold because it was Teflon. And put it in the shear all the legs off, and that's the way you made an LED. I'm sure it's all automated now, but I used to have a bunch of people actually do that back in the old days. It was all done by hand. All right, see you later. All right, all the LEDs are down, and we can start putting on some of the components. And I guess we'll just take them in sequence here. We've got a bunch of diodes, so let's put the diodes on. Look like 1N14s, 1N41, 48, something like that. I just remembered that the fellow who let me build my first LEDs, or only LEDs ever built, migrated from California to Colorado, and I went on a trip to Colorado and visited him. And this was, I don't know, what, 5 years ago? I don't know. Remember when the solar eclipse happened, the total solar eclipse that was in Wyoming? So we had planned a trip to go see the solar eclipse. I'd seen one before, so I've actually seen 2 solar eclipses now. But we went to Colorado for a month ahead of time just to visit Colorado. So we spent a month in Colorado and ended up at my friend's house in Fort Collins. And then from there, on the day of the eclipse, we drove to Wyoming and saw the eclipse. They were very, very different, the 2 eclipses that I've seen. I saw one back in 1977 or something like that, a long, long time ago, up in Oregon. And it was very different than the one in Colorado or Wyoming. It's interesting. The one in the early one had a huge solar prominence. So when it went total, there was this big giant red flame shooting out of one part of the sun, which was really, really cool. But the biggest difference was the air quality. Oh, this one popped out. The air quality. There had been some forest fires and stuff that created a tiny amount of haze. Not so much that you would see, but I could see it. Being an optics engineer, I could see the result of it in the eclipse. And the first eclipse I had seen, the air was perfectly clear. So the effect is that the sun is, oh man, I chopped it off too close again. Darn it. Oh, this one has bad traces, so I have to be very, very careful with this one. These lift very easily. I will have to repair this one. Shoot. That's too bad. That is too bad. See if I can put a blob of solder on this one here. a little bit of... I need a bridge of something conductive on this one. There we go. I think that'll be all right. All right, so where was I? Solar eclipses. So during the solar eclipse, the sun is partially coherent, which means that the rays of light are pretty much parallel coming out of the sun because it's so far away. You can see that by going on a sunny day. Go outside and stare at your fingernail, and you'll see little bitty sparklies, little like grains of sand. That's due to the partial coherence of the sun. Anyway, when the solar eclipse happens, at the very, very instant when it goes total, there are rays of light that are right at the edge of the moon. And they diffract off of the edge of the moon, and they create diffraction patterns. White, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. And those shadows, those white, black, white, black, white, black shadows get cast on the Earth. And you see them coming on the horizon because they're moving. And you can see this motion if you look off to the horizon. You see this thing coming at you. It's really weird looking. And as it goes over you, it goes fum, 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 fum. This flash of light, flash, 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 flash as it goes over you. It's amazing. So I was prepared for that on the second eclipse, and it didn't happen. And I think that was just a bit of scattering up in the atmosphere, and it broke the coherence enough so that I didn't see that effect. But the nice thing about the second eclipse was the location. We had kept ourselves mobile. If you ever want to see an eclipse, don't try to just say, I'm gonna go to this one spot and just wait. Because the clouds may form, and you need to be able to move, and you need to be able to adjust with the clouds and stuff. Because clouds form. When the solar eclipse starts to happen, it gets cold because the sun goes away and clouds start to form. So you need to like dodge clouds. You need to be mobile. So we were on this road that we knew intersected the totality, and we were driving along and looking for a place to stop. And we ran across a spot smack dab on the center line. I mean, just perfectly on the center line. And it was a cattle ranch. And the farmer graciously opened up his land and allowed people to come in to watch the eclipse. And it was just wonderful. So we were surrounded by a bunch of people who were there, and the farmer came out and said hi to everybody. It was really, really nice. Oops, my soldering iron has gone off, and I just dropped it. Hopefully it's okay. So the nice thing about the cattle ranch was, if you've ever been to Wyoming, there's no mountains. It's flat land, and his land was extremely flat. And so there was a perfect horizon in all 360 degrees. There was no obstruction in 360 degrees. We got up on a little rise on his property, and it was perfect from horizon to horizon. So when the solar eclipse happened, you could look in all directions. And it was basically like looking at sunrise in all directions, or sunset in all directions. There was 360 degrees of sunset. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It lasted about 2.5 minutes, something like that. There weren't a lot of wild animals on his ranch. Cows were over a ways away, and I didn't really see any really much of any other animals. The first eclipse was up in Oregon where there was lots of wildlife, and as the eclipse came, the animals just started freaking out. The animals just went quiet. It was really weird. They were not happy. They knew something was going on, and they were not happy. If you ever get a chance to see one, go see one. It's the most amazing natural thing I've ever seen. All right. Got lots of switches. One of the principal scientists at the LED division, he invented a lot of stuff back in the early days. He was our chief technology officer, a very famous guy, and he was a solar eclipse fanatic. He had seen one like the year, I don't know, just a couple of years ago. He took a boat. I think one happened out in the middle Pacific Ocean, and chartered some boat out in the middle of the Pacific to watch that eclipse. I don't remember what year it was. He had a lot more money than I did. Okay, how are we doing here? Oh, that goes on the bottom. Goes down here, I guess. Because I should read the instructions. Or it goes like that. Oh, it goes like that. I'm just being brain dead. J4. Okay, I think I'm going to wait on that one. Let's put down the flat things. Didn't I say that once before? Put down the flat things. All right, where is here's our thing. Our next value is 330, 331, 330. 310. And those go on R1 through R6. So it was easy driving to the eclipse, but it was impossible to get home. It took us 7 hours to drive home. Not drive home, but drive to back to Colorado. Because people had spent the night in Wyoming, and then once the eclipse was over, everybody headed home. And the traffic was bad. Went to Pikes Peak. We're in Colorado. I don't know why. I guess because it's there. Did get to see some mountain pikas though. They're cute little animals. If you've ever seen one. up at, what, 14,000 feet, 11,000 feet? I forget how tall that thing is. Can't be 14, that'd be like 11 or something. You can drive to the top. So, amazing. No climbing involved. You can get in your car and go. We got on a tour, went on a bus, or van, I guess. I think there's a train there too. I think you take a train and then, I don't know. I forget how it worked. Colorado is really nice. I think California is kind of like my first state. You know, I like it here. If I was going to move anywhere, I think it'd be Colorado. I think I could see myself moving there. All right, we got one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's 6? J, R6. There it is. Denver was nice. Fort Collins was really nice. Really liked Fort Collins. Would have liked to visit another friend, but he had passed away years earlier. He had a weird brain tumor and passed away unexpectedly. He was a chess grandmaster. Okay, now we have these really interesting resistors here. The color code on these resistors, if you ever run across one, is black. That's it. One black band. That's it. One black band. It's a 0 ohm resistor. 0 ohms. It's just a piece of wire. And you will find them. You will see them where sometimes you want to have something where maybe you load it one way, you don't need the resistor, and you load it in a different way, you do need the resistor. Maybe you design a circuit and you find out you don't need the resistor, but the PC board's laid out for resistors, so you put in a 0 ohm. Sometimes they're used as a jumper wire. All right, R7 through 9. And I don't have the schematic for this one, so I couldn't tell you why. Couldn't tell you why. Maybe by looking underneath the board. Yeah, maybe it's just a jumper. Since it's a single-sided board, you can't always route everything where you need it to go, so it might just be a wire. Although it's got other wires where you didn't have a, I don't know. I don't know. That'll be a mystery. When I was building up my surface mount kit of various resistor sizes and stuff, I wanted to have a 0 ohm. I found a 1 ohm, so I used that instead. If I ever need a jumper, I just use my 1 ohm, but I couldn't find a roll of 0 ohms. They make them. I just buy mine at the junk store, so I get what I get. All right, it's all together. Looks very nice. Lots of solder on this one. Lots of soldering. All right, so there is an error on the board. I did try to turn it on, it didn't work. And on the back of the board, right here, it says center pin is positive and shield is negative. And that's not true. It's the other way around. If you take a look at the connector, it has plus and minus on it. And the minus is connected to the center pin. So that's wrong. So it wouldn't work at all. Luckily, there's a protection diode in there, so I didn't blow anything up. Otherwise, I could have fried the whole thing, and I don't have the code for the microprocessor, so it'd be a dead project. So luckily, I didn't do that. I mean, it saved itself. Thank goodness. All right, so let's do this. Let's see, I need to be able to do that. So let's put this down. Let me move the camera. All right, and let me attach power. Power in. And yeah, it does something. Let me put on the contrast enhancing plastic. So you can see that it's not very nice, and that's why you put red plastic over things. It kills all the other frequencies and only lets red light through. So it enhances the contrast. So I'm just going to kind of wedge it in here for now, just for the demo. I think this is fine. Yeah, there we go. So what does it say? We have an arrow to the left, heart. Anyway, I think it says here we want to select, so we can select certain things. It says standby and run. Okay, so that's run. So we can do standby, and then over here it says set. I guess that's step, actually. So select, run. I don't know how you do this. Let's see, we can read the instructions, huh? Is there any? I don't think there was any instructions on this one. I think it says you're good to go. All right, let's turn it on and off again. Get it going. Yeah, there we go. Now it says standby and run. It also says select. So that's definitely standby, and that's definitely run. And then this one says set. So let's do standby. And then we have this little flickering thing here. Set. Set. That looks a lot like step to me. And then we'll do, oh, UVW, X, Y, Z. Oh, maybe you can put in the thing you want. Well, let's put in an I. Oh, we must be putting in the message. Ah. Okay, so M. And then select again. IMSAI. Is that an R? That's an R, S. Oh, M-I-L. See, I went backwards. I can't spell. I can't spell. Okay, let's do it over. Now that we know how to do it. IMSAI is I-M. Okay, so we'll do standby. And now we'll do select. Okay, standby, set. Okay, set. Now we can do IMSAI. I guess we'll go this way. Which one's A? Are we going back? Yeah, we're going backwards. Oh, well, doesn't matter. I, M, J, K, L, M, I, M, S. Oops. Psi. IMSAI. Run. Run. Oh. Uh-oh, IMSAI. Oh well, I guess we'll put in the G. Guy. This way. IMSAI guy. Why? Okay. Set. Set. I don't know how to make it go now. Standby? No. Run. Hold it down. Set. Run. 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 Set. There it goes. Oh, yay! IMSAI guy. Then blah, blah, blah. There we go, rolling text. All right, we succeeded. All right, so what do I think of the kit? I really like this one. I really did. It's a nice kit. A lot of soldering, keeps you busy for the afternoon. It does something. Kids would enjoy it, except you'd have to make the message for them. It has a speed adjustment here. We didn't try that. Let's see if we can make it go fast and slow. I need the right little adjustment tool for this. But yeah, it's going slower now. There you go, faster. Yeah, it's really nice. This one was a little more expensive, although I got it used as well, or, you know, surplus. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's interesting, the original picture had an old pick part that was the UV erasable part. They must have used that to develop the code and then took a picture. And then when they ship it, they just put the other one in it. Probably this is a one-time programmable. Anyway, it was fun. Hope you enjoyed it.